There's a turning point in every person's life, a moment where you realize that external noise no longer deserves internal space. That's the moment you take your power back, because the world will always have something to say. It will tell you who you should be, what you should want, how you should act. But until you make the decision to block out that noise and focus inward, you'll keep living someone else's version of your life. Focus is not a talent, it's a habit. And silence is not an absence, it's a tool. When you begin focusing on yourself, truly locking in on your growth, your goals, your values, you begin to shift. Not just on the outside, but the core. You stop reacting, you stop explaining, you stop performing. Instead, you start building tightly, consistently, powerfully. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. You don't need to shout about your goals. You need to live them, day by day, brick by brick, because your results will speak for themselves if you stay focused long enough to let them. This is not about shutting the world out. It's about tuning yourself in. When your mind is clear, your mission becomes undeniable. You were not created to chase opinions. You were created to chase purpose. But that requires discipline. But that requires direction. That requires silence. Because in silence, you hear the truth. In silence, you see your blind spots. In silence, you rise above the noise and reconnect with your vision. So decide, right now, that you're going to take your focus back, that you're going to stop feeding distractions and start feeding your destiny, that you're going to be so focused, so aligned, so committed that nothing can shake your ground. Because the most powerful version of you is already within you. You just need to silence the noise long enough to bring it out. The quality of your life depends on the focus of your mind. What you choose to dwell on shapes your emotions, decisions, habits, and ultimately your destiny. If your focus is scattered, constantly shifting from fear to doubt to distraction, your energy becomes diluted. But when you direct your mind with intention, when you take ownership of your thoughts and decide what gets your attention, everything begins to align. Your circumstances may not always be in your control, but your focus is. And that focus becomes the filter through which you experience life. Focus on lack and you'll live in scarcity. Focus on growth and you'll find opportunity. Focus on what's broken and you'll feel stuck. Focus on what you're building and you'll feel momentum. This isn't about positive thinking. It's about power thinking. It's about understanding that your mind is your most valuable resource. Where it goes, but your life follows. So guard it, train it. Focus it on what matters, because the moment you master your focus, you start to master your life. Elevation requires isolation. Growth doesn't happen in the crowd. It happens in the quiet. When you're constantly surrounded by noise, opinions, and external expectations, it's easy to lose sight of who you are and what you're here to do. Sometimes the only way to level up is to step back. Not because you're running away from people, but because you're running toward your purpose. Isolation isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's where you strip away the distractions and confront the real work. It's where you separate what's urgent from what's important. In that space, you gain clarity. You get honest with yourself. You stop performing for the world and start aligning with your values. You refine your vision, your mindset, and your strategy. And the truth is, not everyone will understand your need for distance. And that's okay. Elevation isn't for everyone. It requires you to say no more than you say yes. It requires you to be misunderstood, to walk away from comfort, and to be okay with silence. Because in that silence, you're not losing momentum. You're building something deeper, something stronger, something that can't be shaken by outside noise. The higher you rise, the thinner the air gets. Fewer people, fewer distractions, more discipline. That's the price of elevation. And if you're willing to embrace the solitude and the silence and the focus it demands, you'll discover that the next level of your life isn't waiting on applause, it's waiting on your commitment. Mastery requires immersion, not distraction. You can't become great at anything by dipping your toe in the water. You have to dive deep. You have to go all in. Distraction is the enemy of depth. And in today's world, distraction is everywhere. It pulls at your attention, fractures your focus, and convinces you that multitasking is the way forward. But greatness doesn't come from doing many things halfway. It comes from doing one thing with relentless commitment. Immersion means obsession with your craft, your growth, your mission. It means showing up when it's boring, when it's uncomfortable, when no one is watching. It means shutting off the noise, the endless opinions, the comparison, the urge to prove yourself, and locking in. True mastery isn't glamorous. It's gritty, it's repetitive. It's hours of unseen work, discipline, and focus that most people never see and would never commit to. And here's the truth: you can't cheat the process. You can't coast your way to excellence. The best in the world didn't get there by accident. They got there by creating environments that support focus, by saying no to things that didn't align, and by being deeply intentional with their time, energy, and attention. They understood that to master something, you have to become it. So if you want results most people don't have, you have to be willing to do what most people won't. That means turning down the volume of the world and turning up the intensity of your purpose. Because mastery doesn't come to the most talented. It comes to the most focused. You cannot lead a powerful life while living for others' approval. The moment you start measuring your worth by someone else's opinion, you give away your power. You trade your authenticity for acceptance and your direction for validation. And the truth is, no matter what you do, someone will always have something to say. You can live your whole life trying to fit into the mold others create for you, and still, it won't be enough. Because approval is a moving target, and chasing it will leave you exhausted, unfulfilled, and disconnected from who you really are. A powerful life is not about being liked. It's about being aligned. It's about knowing who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going, even if no one else claps for you along the way. The people who create impact, the ones who move mountains, shift culture, and break generational cycles. They aren't waiting for permission. They're living with intention. They've made peace with the fact that some people won't understand their path, and they walk it anyway. When you stop performing for approval, you start leading with purpose. You stop editing yourself to fit someone else's idea of success, and you start showing up in your truth. That's when real confidence is born. Not because everyone agrees with you, because you've chosen to honor yourself, your vision, your voice, your values. And that kind of self-trust is unshakable. So if you want to lead a powerful life, stop asking, will they like me? And start asking, does this align with who I'm becoming? Because once you let of needing their approval, you finally make room for your own transformation. Your next level lives in your daily discipline, not your public declaration. Talking about your goals is easy. Announcing your plans feels good. But none of it means anything without consistent action behind the scenes. Growth doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the grind. In the early mornings, the quiet nights, the uncomfortable reps that no one sees. That's where transformation is built. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It's choosing commitment over convenience. It's keeping your word to yourself when no one else is watching. And it's in that private, disciplined space where real breakthroughs occur. Because while motivation may spark the fire, discipline keeps it burning. You don't need to post about every step you take. You need to take the step. You don't have to prove to anyone that you're working. You have to do the work. The world respects results, not promises. And the most successful people don't spend their energy announcing every move. They use that energy to move further. The truth is, your future is shaped by what you do repeatedly, not what you say occasionally. So if you want to elevate, don't focus on being seen. Focus on being consistent. Build the habits that build the life. Lay brick after brick with intention, even when progress feels slow. Because when the lights finally hit you, they'll reveal what you've been building in the dark. So here's the truth. If you want to build a life of power, purpose, and peace, it starts with you. Not with the noise around you, not with the opinions of others, and definitely not with flashy declarations that fade in a week. It starts with your focus. It starts with the choice to silence distractions and go inward, to do the work that no one sees, to value progress over praise. You don't need louder goals. You need deeper discipline. You don't need more validation. You need more vision. The life you're chasing doesn't come from proving yourself to others. It comes from you becoming yourself. So protect your energy. Guard your mind. Show up for yourself with consistency, integrity, and purpose. Stay silent when you need to. Speak only when it builds. And never forget, your elevation will be the loudest thing you ever say.